Hi everyone, good afternoon. And at this juncture, we are going to talk about the government initiatives on agrarian reform from the new Republic administration until the present administration. So without any first administration that we are going to talk about, headed by President Manuel A. Rojas from 1946 to 1948. So during his time, he enacted the following laws. The first one is the Republic Act number 34, which established the 70 to 30 sharing arrangements and regulating shared tenancy contract. So this law established a contract between a tenants and the landlord. So the 70% of the profit will be given to the tenants, while the 30% of it will be given to the landlord. The second and the last law that he enacted is the Republic Act number 55, which provided for a more effective safeguard against arbitrary ejectment of tenants. So this law established to protect the landowners to those illegal tenants that will try to trespass their land. So the next administration is headed by President Elpidio R. Quirino from 1948 to 1953. So during his time, he enacted the Executive Order number 355 that is issued on October 23, 1950, which replaced the National Land Settlement Administration with Land Settlement Development Corporation or LASEDECO. This one takes over the responsibilities of the Agricultural Machinery Equipment Corporation and the Rice and Corn Production Administration. So through this law, the LASEDECO was established to accelerate and expand the peasant resettlement program of the government. However, due to the limited post-war resources during this time, the program LASEDECO was not successful. So the next administration is headed by President Ramon Magsaysay from 1953 to 1957. So during his time, he realized the importance of pursuing a more honest-to-goodness land reform program. So he convinced all the Congress to pass several legislation to improve the land reform situation. So here are the following laws that he enacted during his term. The first one is the Republic Act number 1160 of 1954. This one abolished the LASEDECO and established the National Resettlement and Rehabilitation Administration or NARA to resettle dissidents and landless farmers. It was particularly aimed at rebel returnees, providing home lots and farmlands in Palawan and Mindanao. The second one is the Republic Act number 1199 or Agricultural Tenancy Act of 1954. This one governed the relationship between landowners and tenant farmers by organizing shared tenancy and leasehold system. The law provided the security of tenure of tenants, and it also created the Court of Agrarian Relation. The third one is the Republic Act number 1400 or Land Reform Act of 1955. This one created the Land Tenure Administration or LTA, which was responsible for the acquisition and distribution of large tenanted rice and corn lands over 200 hectares for individuals and 600 hectares for corporation. So the last one is the Republic Act number 821 or the creation of Agricultural Credit Cooperative Financing Administration, which provided small farmers and shared tenants loans with low interest rates for 6 to 8%. So let's move on to the next administration that is headed by President Carlos P. Garcia from 1957 to 1961. So during his time, there is no new legislation passed. However, he continued the program of President Ramon Magsaysay. So the next administration is headed by President Diosdado P. Macapagal from 1961 to 1965. So during his time, he enacted the Republic Act number 3844 of August 8, 1963, which made him considered as the father of agrarian reform, since this law was considered to be the most comprehensive piece of agrarian reform legislation ever enacted in the country at that time. This RA was hailed as one that would emancipate Filipino farmers from the bondage of tenancy and gave hope to poor Filipino farmers to own the land that they are tilling. So let's proceed to the next administration headed by President Ferdinand E. Marcos from 1965 to 1986. So during his time, he enacted the following laws. The first one is the Republic Act number 6389 or Code of Agrarian Reform and RA number 6390 of 1971. This law, it strengthened the position of farmers and expanded the scope of agrarian reform. The second one is the Presidential Decree number 2 of September 26, 1972. This one enjoined all the agencies and offices of the government to extend full cooperation and assistance to the DAR. The last one is the Presidential Decree number 27 of October 21, 1972. This one restricted land reform scope to the tenanted rice and corn lands and set the retention limit at 7 hectares. So among the 3 laws that he enacted, the Presidential Decree number 27 became the heart of the Marcos reform, since this law stipulated that share tenants who work from a land holding of over 7 hectares could purchase the land that they tiled, while share tenants on the land less than 7 hectares would become a leaseholders. So the next administration is headed by President Corazon C. Aquino from 1986 to 1992. So during her time, there are various sectors recognize agrarian reform as a worthwhile social investment. So in terms of the tenant tiler status, this improved particularly those within landowners' retained areas. So these are the following laws that she enacted during her time. So the first one is the Executive Order number 228 of July 16, 1987. This one declared full ownership to qualified farmer beneficiaries covered by PD 27. It also determined the value remaining unvalued rice and corn land subject of PD 27 and provided for the manner of payment by the FBs and mode of compensation to landowners. The second one is the Executive Order number 229 of July 22, 1987, which provided mechanism for the implementation of the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program or CARP. The third one is the Proclamation number 131 of July 22, 1987, which is instituted the CARP as a major program of the government. It provided for a special fund known as the Agrarian Reform Fund or ARF, with an initial amount of 50 billion to cover estimated cost program from 1987 to 1992. The next one is the Executive Order number 129-A of July 26, 1987, which streamlined and expanded the power and operation of the DAR. The next one is the Republic Act number 6657 of June 10, 1988, or Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Law, an act which became effective June 15, 1988 and instituted a comprehensive agrarian reform program to promote social justice and industrialization, providing the mechanism for its implementation and for other purposes. This law is still one being implemented at present. The next one is the Executive Order number 405 of June 14, 1990, which vested in the Land Bank of the Philippines the responsibility to determine land valuation and compensation for all lands covered by CARP. The last one is the Executive Order number 407 of June 14, 1990, which accelerated the acquisition and distribution of agricultural lands, pastures lands, fish pond, agroforestry lands, and other lands of the public domain suitable for agriculture. Let's proceed to the next administration that is headed by President Fidel V. Ramos from 1992 to 1998. So the Ramos administration is recognized for bringing back the support of key stakeholders of CARP by bridging certain policy gaps on land acquisition and distribution, land valuation, and case dissolution. So these are the following laws that he enacted during his term. So the first one is Republic Act number 7881 of 1995, which exempted fish pond and prawns from the coverage of CARP. The second one is the Republic Act number 7905 of 1995, which strengthened the implementation of the CARP. The third one is the Executive Order number 363 of 1997, which limits the type of lands that may be converted by setting condition. The fourth one is the Republic Act number 8435 of 1997, or Agriculture and Fisheries Modernization Act, AFMA, which plugged the legal loopholes in land use conversion. And the last one is the Republic Act 8532 of 1998, or Agrarian Reform Fund Bill, which provided an additional 50 billion for CARP and extended its implementation for another 10 years. So let's proceed to the next administration, which is headed by President Joseph E. Estrada from 1998 to 2000. So during his time, he enacted the Executive Order number 151 of September 1999, or known as Farmers Trust Fund. This one allowed the voluntary consolidation of small farm operation into medium and large-scale integrated enterprise that can assess long-term capital. So let's proceed to the next administration headed by President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo from 2000 to 2010. So the Agrarian Reform Program under the Arroyo administration is anchored on the vision to make the countryside economically viable for the Filipino family by building partnership and promoting social equity and new economic opportunities towards lasting peace and sustainable rural development. So the first one is the land tenure improvement. It means that the DAR will remain vigorous in implementing land acquisition and distribution component of CARP. The DAR will improve land tenure system through land distribution and leasehold. The second one is the provision of support services. It means that the CARP not only involves the distribution of lands but also included package of support services which includes credit assistance, extension services, irrigation facilities, roads and bridges, marketing facilities, and training and technical support programs. The third one is the infrastructure projects, which means that the DAR will transform the agrarian reform communities, an area focused on integrated delivery of support services into rural economic zones that will help in the creation of job opportunities in the countryside. The next one is the Kalahi R zone. The Kalahi Agrarian Reform CAR zones were also launched. This zone consists of one more municipalities with a concentration of ARC population to achieve greater agro-productivity. The last one is the Agrarian Justice, which helps clear the backlog of agrarian cases. DAR will hire more paralegal officers to support undermanned adjudicatory boards and introduce quota system to compel adjudicators to work faster on agrarian reform cases. DAR will respect the rights to both farmers and the landowners. So the next administration is headed by President Benigno Aquino III from 2010 to 2016. So during his time, he enacted the Agrarian Reform Community Connectivity and Economic Support Services (RSAS) project, which is created to contribute to the overall goal of rural poverty reduction, especially in agrarian reform areas. Aside from these initiatives, Aquino also enacted the Executive Order Number 26 Series of 2011 to mandate the Department of Agriculture, Department of Environment and Natural Resources, Department of Agrarian Reform Convergence Initiative to develop a national greening program in cooperation with other government agencies. So let's proceed to the last administration that we are going to talk about, which is headed by President Rodrigo Roa Duterte from 2016 to 2022. So under his administration, the DAR created an anti-corruption task force to investigate and handle reports on alleged anomalous activities by officials and employees of the department. The department also pursues an offline zero backlog in the resolution of cases in relation to agrarian justice delivery of the Agrarian Reform Program to fast-track the implementation of CARP. So that's it for my report. I hope that you get something out from it. Thank you so much for listening.